Is this on? Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Yeah, this is on. Alright, guys, so I got a new setup. It allows me to basically talk and so forth without any background noises. And I also got a headset, so that should help cancel out some of the noises. And I actually do have a stand now. So that should be all types of fun. Today we are going to be shading in this leopard, and quite frankly, I love shading leopards and tigers and so forth because of their spots and stripes. And that may sound like complete and utter lies, but the spots and stripes are actually like a miracle, because if you screw up on them or if you misstep with them, you are very, 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 very capable of passing that off as like a natural marking, because hey, no two are the same exact. And unlike horses, where you can make sure that the markings are the exact same or at least similar to the parents, you can't do that with leopards or tigers. So you can just say, yeah, I have my own leopard that I made, or I have my own tiger. See, it's got its own stripes or its own spots. And it's basically like a fingerprint. That is how leopards and so forth work. We're also going to be using pens this time, which I know, new, scary. Oh my gosh. Somebody help. But it should be a lot of fun. It should be. And I've got these fancy little art pens. So that should help things get along. And yeah, let's just get to it. I'll explain what each pen does as I bring them out. First, I'm going to be bringing out the brush pen, and it's got a B at top. If you ever get curious or if you ever forget what it is, B is for brush. And then on the top, there will be a color to match the color that the pen actually is. And this is black. And so I'm just going to go very, very light with this pen. Never go hard with a pen, because then that wrecks the pen and you can't get that pen, that point back, and you'll regret it. Trust me. I have wrecked many a pen in my day, and I regret it because they were some very, very good pens. I really hope you guys can't hear the background noise, because currently a couple of my neighbors are having some work done on their house, and I can hear the jackhammer from here and so forth. Something I also love about drawing cats is their facial features can be very, very stunning, but they can also be, and like sharp, but they can also be very, very easy to do. Whereas something like a canine, which is still relatively easy, can be quite difficult because of the variations from going from the snout to the back and trying to make sure that it all matches up. So that's one of the things I don't like about drawing canines. But I also love drawing canines because despite having like several cats in my home, I do love wolves and so forth. Wrong bin. I'm talking like somebody's actually going to like watch this. Somebody might watch this. I never know. Alright, we are now going for the 05 tip. And the tip looks like that. It's not thick, but it's not thin. And like the pencils, depending on where you place the tip, depends on the thickness of the line. And what I'm doing right now is I'm doing the tear stains. Because I don't know if you've like ever noticed this, but on almost every cat, it has a kind of tear stain. And so that can be somewhat easy to replicate, but it can also be somewhat hard because you have to have that fade in there. And if you don't have the fade, you're basically dead in the water, to put it simply. So you need it to like fade out. And then we are going to outline the ears, because I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but on leopards and cheetahs and so forth, even tigers, they have a dark outline around their ears, or at least the edge of them. Then I'm just going to do some ear hair. And what I'm doing is I'm taking it and I'm barely touching it to the paper, but I'm also touching it enough so that I can actually make a line. And it may seem random, but there's definitely a method to my madness. Now, I'm not scribbling, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm literally just taking my pen and flicking it upwards. darn it. And what this is doing is creating a almost fur effect, which can be very, very helpful, but you gotta be careful not to do it too dark, because then it comes off looking wonky. And again, you can try and pass it off as, oh, that's the look I was going for. But I'm also choosing the position of my pen very, very carefully. And because not all fur goes the same exact way, I'm just going to create that little mess right there. Be careful of the type of sketchbook you use, because something that keeps on happening is there's this perforated line here, and perforated lines are just basically lines pre-made into a what's it called? Into a paper. And right now there is a perforated line right here. And my pen keeps on catching onto that. So always be mindful of the paper you're working with. Make sure that if you have perforated lines, they're not in important parts of the piece. And every part of your piece is important, but I mean like the center part, which is where often eyes go to some of the time. Some of the time, there's this rule called the triangle rule. And it's basically the eye drifts from place to place to place, and you know what? I'll describe it in a separate video. But yeah, something to look out for is be wary of where your lines are and of the look of your paper. And I get some people are afraid to make certain marks and so forth because, oh my gosh, what if I mess up? What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? And honestly, there's a point when you just gotta say, you know what? Forget it. I am doing this. I am doing this piece, I am doing this project, and I just gotta deal with it. And there's always that time and place where you just gotta say, forget it. I'm just going with the flow. I'm just going with it. And you really have to listen and watch your piece and watch how it's turning into. And always check to make sure that you're not accidentally like rubbing off certain parts of your piece, because that can spell trouble for you later. I'm going to be moving from the 05 to the 005, and this is the thinnest pen I have right now. And I'm going to be doing the pupils. Hey, if anybody's actually watching this, let me know if this is, like, anything that I'm saying is actually helpful. And if there's a specific animal that you want me to try to draw, or if there's like a specific thing, let me know. I am very open to hearing from anybody who watches this. I say that and there's only 2 people subscribed. It's a dream. Set off in a far off place. I really wish I had some music or something, but I haven't figured out how to manage that. Like honestly, I'm just going off of like I just press record and I start drawing. So if I ever start rambling and going off topic or go into like a subject you don't like, feel free to mute me or click off. Honestly, I'm not doing this channel for like money or anything. I'm just doing it for the heck of it. 'Cause it seems like fun when you see all these YouTubers and so forth having fun, making videos and so forth, and honestly, it seems really fun, but there's a lot of work. Like you gotta go into what you're doing in the video, you gotta think about like where you're trying to head to it, you gotta constantly censor yourself so that you don't get into trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Baboons. Dun, 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 baboon. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, really? Do I really want to do this? But like, honestly, it's kind of fun to just like sit and talk. It's interesting because I say this and like I'm probably gonna regret it if I ever like do make it on YouTube. But it's fun to talk and just talk. Like nobody's listening, nobody's judging you. You can just have an actual conversation. And I feel like that's what the world's missing, like just talking. Like if people just actually talked it out, would we really have like half of our issues? Well, yeah, because we still got idiots and so forth, but I'm sorry, I'm going off into a tangent. You didn't click on to this video if you actually did click on, and if you did, thank you. Thank you for clicking on and supporting the little person. But yeah. What I did here is called stippling. Basically, it's when you do a bunch of dots and then the dots get closer and closer together uh, and create like basically a solid line. And then as you get like to the lighter part, they spread farther and farther apart. I once stippled a entire snake and a person's face, like in the same piece. It looks pretty cool, but it does take a while. So if you want to stipple, go ahead for it. Warning, it's painful. Like, oh my gosh, the look of it is great, but it is painful. What I'm doing is I've changed the pen and the angle of the pen so that I'm doing barely there lines, but like at the base of it, I'm doing somewhat darker lines because I don't know if you've noticed this, but like at the nose and so forth, animals tend to have pretty dark shadows around that area. And not all animals, some of them don't. And like I said, it's your animal, it's your leopard, so go ahead and do what you want with it. And like I said, it doesn't really matter if you get all the spots or if the spots are perfect because it's your leopard. Just so long as it still looks like a leopard, because I've seen this happen time and time again. People will try to go like, oh, it's just a leopard, it should be super simple. Oh, you can still mess it up and make it look anything but like a leopard. Like, I once did a leopard and it looked more like a tiger than anything, and I'm just like, how did I manage this? I started off with a leopard and I turned it into like something completely different. Just doing barely there lines, and I'm making sure that I don't hurt my pen. If the lines aren't coming, they will eventually. Just just don't press too hard because you don't want to engrave the paper with the pen. I love and I hate doing leopards. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is your leopard. Not all of them are uniform, not all of them are exactly the same. Each of them has their own beauty and grace. Ah, darn it. And always remember to erase what you can when you can. Just so that you can always be sure that you're keeping it going and you're getting the right shape and effect that you want. Just go momentarily take this away to wipe it off. because you never want to leave shavings on your piece. That's a giant no-no, because you're bound to screw it up by doing that. I'm going to try to speed up this process in editing. Alright, so this is Shading a Leopard Part 2. As you can see, be careful where you leave your pens and how you leave them, because they can easily leak into things, and that is wasting precious ink. And I am very upset about that right now, so let's just get back to it. Always make sure to turn your picture as needed. I wonder what some of the more famous YouTubers would be like if they tried to do art, such as Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, Adam from the commentary channels, T-Spill. I wonder what they would be like if they did art videos and so forth. Trisha Paytas. Has Trisha Paytas done art videos? And just have them do start a new trend with try and do some of these obscure art stuff from unknown YouTubers. Yeah, that would ever happen. But yeah, so I am just working on this leopard here for a video for you guys. And trying desperately to ignore the jackhammer going off in the background. Oh, I forgot the... So like I said in the previous one, leopards and tigers, you can make them your own, but try to be consistent as possible with the dots. or the spots or the stripes, because like if you just have random patches, that's just going to look off. And yes, I know I'm going off of my dot pattern, but honestly, I barely use the dot pattern. By the way, a habit not to get into, especially with art, because A, you don't know who's touched it, but B, you also don't want to like hurt the pens. Don't bite down onto the pens, because that can be detrimental to the pen, but also you don't know who's touched it, especially like in an art class. Like somebody could have sneezed on it, and then you're like basically putting their boogers into like your mouth, and it's all around just no. No, no, no. No, 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 don't fuck with my heart. Does anybody even still listen to that song? Who sings it? Does anyone even still use the word funk? That's spelt F-U-N-K. I mean, it's stuff like that like actually like makes me think, and then it's just like, bruh, what am I doing with my life? Chubby cheek, chubby cheek. I made this cheek chubby. Hee hee hee. I hate the mouth area because, except for the chin, you have no idea which direction it's going, because sometimes it can go downward, sometimes it can go sideways, sometimes it can go upward. So you gotta be just like really careful. But yeah, when dealing with fur, you gotta be consistent. So, like, for example, if your nose is going this way, all the fur has to be going upward. If the fur is going curved, then all the fur has to be curved. If the fur is getting curved that way or that way, basically be consistent with your fur. And honestly, I'm going to be trying something different with this one, as well as it being one of the first ones that we're dealing with fur and pen, and I'm going to be splitting this up into like several parts. So previously you had the part 1, which was kind of me rambling and so forth, and then for this one it's like a short part 2, partially because somebody's trying to like contact me and get a hold of me, and yeah, I'm just going to see how the whole like several part thing goes. Alright, so I'm going to log off for this part. But yeah, that's how our leopard's looking so far. See you in a bit.